Hello, everybody. We're sorry I am running late. I was helping a customer, so I got a little bit sidetracked. But we're here with my friend Jennifer from Earth Animal, and so glad to have you, Jennifer. I hope it's not nasty weather in Atlanta.
No, it's fine. I feel like, the rest of the South got a blizzard for a week and we didn't get anything.
Well,
I guess that's a good thing considering how things are going in Texas and other places.
yes, it is a good thing. We thankfully seem to have escaped a whole lot here in the last little bit. We seem to have escaped this last little bit from being too serious. And I am awfully grateful that it was just more of a cold rainstorm. There's some ice, but over the last weekend, it was really bad. So we're glad to be on the other side of that and hopefully headed into spring. I was delighted last night when I was looking at my calendar to see that next month we spring forward in time and spring is coming.
Yeah. So I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta maybe like 10 years ago, we had a horrible ice storm that was reminiscent of what's going on in Texas. But I think the difference is we didn't lose power everywhere. So there were a lot of people that still had power, but it was below freezing for over a week and nobody could drive anywhere and cars were stranded on the highway.
So not fun.
Not fun, no.
Well, we're going to jump here. Of course, your company is well known in our store for the no hides. No hides are very popular for us. And so if you're familiar with no hides, this is the same company, Earth Animal. And we're going to be talking about their natural remedies and kind of talking a little bit more about how these remedies work and this one's standing up, and what they address. So I'll kind of let you take over because I know that you have this down pat and know way more about it than I do, although I can say that I can give some testimony to them as well. So go ahead and get started and kind of introduce the product.
Absolutely. So, and again, I'm glad that you introduced No Hide because I feel like that's the product that most people think of when they think of Earth Animal. But Earth Animal was actually founded by Dr. Bob Goldstein, who is a holistic vet, and he has a practice in Connecticut, and his wife, Susan Goldstein. And the very first products that they made in the late 1970s were actually our natural flea and tick collars, which are herbal as well. And then over the years, Dr. Bob and Susan together have really developed a love for some of the different herbal blends that you have behind you. And those were the very first products that Earth Animal had for the longest time. And then a couple of years ago, we introduced our chicken tenders and our no hides. And that really, blew up in popularity and put Earth Animal on the map, so to say. But herbal remedies, natural ways of preventing common problems are really at the heart of Earth Animal as a company. And Dr. Bob and Susan are really passionate at providing another way to treat some of the most common problems that cats and dogs might have. So the set that you have behind you are 11 natural remedies. They are herbs that have been steeped in and extracted with alcohol. So I like to tell people when you come up to our apothecary set, it's literally an over-the-counter apothecary. They're over-the-counter medicines that are gentle and safe to use. And they're basically they're herbs. So I compare it to like a strong steeped chamomile tea, which has been extracted using hot water. But instead of using hot water, we have used a grain alcohol to extract the good medicine from the herbs and preserve it. So I would be more than happy we can go through each tincture and talk about some of the benefits and talk about what type of customer might be a great fit to try this for their cat and dog. But again, they're steeped herbs, not essential oils, and they can really help with common things that people come in and ask about. And I like to usually start by talking about our allergy and skin tincture, which is in a blue bottle. And Allison, maybe you can tell me what for your store the most popular tincture is, but for us, that's our most popular by far.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one is the most popular. We certainly sell a lot of all of them, and as we go through them, I kind of can tell you the experiences that I have heard customers talk about. But of course, I know that our staff out on the floor have vast more experience with exchanges with customers who have been using them. I use them personally for my pets. So I don't use the allergy and skin, but let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so allergy and skin is obviously going to be great for a pet that's dealing with hot spots and itchiness, eczema, and psoriasis. And we always recommend that the customer is on the right food, of course. And I know that's one of the things that you focus on as soon as a customer comes in the store. You make sure that they're not allergic to the food that they're eating and that they're eating something high quality. So if we're sure that the food isn't causing the itchiness, allergy and skin is a great way to do a couple of things. It's going to reduce inflammation in different parts of the body. It's going to help treat some of the itchy symptoms that come up on the skin, but it's going to make sure that the adrenal glands and the liver are functioning properly as well. And the lymph nodes. The adrenal glands help to regulate hormones in the body. And sometimes if your pet has some itchiness that you can't seem to figure out where it's coming from, you have to try a couple of different things. There could be something in its bodily system that isn't working properly. So allergy and skin really helps to address that. And those three things, lymph nodes, adrenal glands, and the liver can sometimes cause itchiness. So we're going to make sure that those are functioning properly.
And I want to point out that while we're sitting here talking about, I think sometimes people hear it's an herbal remedy and they don't think about the power of some of what we already commonly use as medicine. We're derived from herbs.
Exactly.
Derived from things like these kind of remedies. So it's not so far-fetched that they would work to detoxify a body, because it's where we first started and where it's the most natural.
Right, and that's a great point. And I try to remind people that medicinal herbs have been used for, thousands of years in different civilizations before we had the technology to synthesize those herbs and turn them into stronger medications. This is what people would do. So this is a really great first step to healing the body and preventing issues before you need to move on to a synthetic medication. And of course, there is a time and a place for synthetic medications if you need them. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, especially when we get to our worm preventative tincture. But yeah, so allergy and skin can also help with, anecdotally, I've heard some people say that tear stains have improved when they use this tincture. And, typically when I talk about tear stains, I'll talk about the Vital Eye tincture. So I actually have it right here. Yep. And I'll also mention our clean eye wash, which comes with the set.
And we have that as well. Yes. We don't have it in this lineup right now. We have it in a different place with our eye washes, but we do carry it.
Awesome. When I hear about tear stains being improved by something that's not Vital Eye, I'll take a look at the ingredients and say, why can allergy and skin potentially help with that? And again, the body is a complex, it's got a lot of complex processes and systems. So sometimes you have to try different things to see if it'll ease up a symptom like, crustiness around the eye. But, both of them contain ingredients that are antiseptic and antispasmodic and improve the immune system. So that's why sometimes you'll hear about tear stains being improved in allergy and skin, and also in our immune support tincture as well. But Vital Eye is basically going to reduce discharge around the eye. It also helps to heal any inflamed tissue around the eye. And it's high in antioxidants as well. So,
and as we sit here talking about Vital Eye, I'm thinking, Merida, the last few months has had runny, drippy eyes. And now I'm thinking, okay, this is what I need to try.
Yeah, you know what? I would say any of these three you could try. Immune support, allergy and skin, or Vital Eye. You may have to play around with it. Vital Eye is the one I would go to first, of course. And then there's also an interesting ingredient in there called, ginkgo. Ginkgo helps to improve circulation in and around the brain and quiets the nervous system, which isn't something I would typically think of when I think about eye health, but it can actually help to lessen discharge and improve the health of the eye. And then there's another ingredient in there called lycium, which helps to promote better vision as well. So this is going to heal the eye, and this is going to gently lift and remove any stains. And you would basically just dab this on with a cotton ball gently around the eye. It should not burn the eye. It's very, very gentle. It has grapefruit seed extract, lavender hydrosol, eye bright infusion, and aloe vera. So on that note, let's just mention immune support. I'm going to talk about immune support and aches and discomforts side by side, just because these are two tinctures that I love to talk about for senior pets. Immune support is going to do exactly what it says it's going to do. It helps to boost the immune system. It also helps to prepare the body to fight off infections if the body, does get sick. And it's got turmeric, which is well known for its anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties. So this is a great way to prevent disease and prepare the body to fight off disease. And then aches and discomforts contains herbs that reduce inflammation. So great for arthritis and joint support. But the herbs in this tincture specifically reduce inflammation around the joints. There is also another ingredient in here that helps the nervous system, and that is vervain. And this has a relaxing and quiet effect on the nervous system and brain and can help soothe discomfort related to headaches. So not something that we typically think about, our pets getting headaches, but if you know your cat or dog really well and you know that they suffer from some aches and pains, headaches could be a part of that. So aches and discomforts is a really good one to try. And I didn't mention this at the beginning, but these are all oral drops. So you would give these directly in the mouth if your pet tolerates a dropper. And I know most pets do not. I've always had cats, and we would never be able to get a dropper inside my cat's mouth. So it's totally fine to put this on top of their food or water, as long as they consume all of that in a 24-hour period. And just to give you guys an idea of dosage, if you have a small pet, so under 10 pounds, they're only going to be getting about 4 drops a day. So you can kind of see some of the herbs sitting at the end of this dropper. So 1, 2, 3, 4 directly in their mouth or on top of their food is what they would get. And if you have a really large breed dog, let's say over 80 pounds, they're going to get 20 to 25 drops a day. But all in all, these last a long time. Even if you have a larger dog, these should last you at least a month. And they retail for roughly $19.99, give or take.
Another thing I wanted to definitely make sure we covered is the price point.
Yeah, they are very, very long lasting. Let's talk about No More Runs, which is our digestive support tincture. Mm-hmm. And I love recommending this for any type of gut health. But Allison, if someone walks in the store and they mention to you that their pet is suffering from constipation or diarrhea, what do you typically recommend?
A lot of go-tos, pumpkin, goat milk, those kind of things are typical go-tos for us from a dietary standpoint.
Yep. Perfect. And that's exactly what I would recommend too, to help make sure that the stool is the proper consistency. So pumpkin is going to help coagulate the stool and sort of like bring it together in a better position to actually get out of the body, not to get too graphic. And goat milk helps to soothe the stomach, and I believe it provides some of that good gut health bacteria as well. Mm-hmm. And those are excellent. But what No More Runs is going to do is actually heal the digestive tract. So this soothes inflamed membranes, related to the digestive tract. It's anti-inflammatory, calming, antispasmodic. And then there is also an ingredient in there that prevents bacteria from latching onto cells, which is interesting. So sometimes if you have a gastrointestinal upset, it could be because the bacteria is out of whack. So this is going to help soothe and heal anything related to the digestive system. And then your pumpkin and goat's milk is a further support to help the stool as well. So No More Runs is great for that. Another tincture that I get a lot of questions about, and this is related to, I guess, not digestive health, but urinary health, poop health. sort of the same category, right? Urinary and kidney relief is a really great addition to all types of urinary issues. So with urinary issues, we have crystal and stone formation, we've got kidney failure, and then we also have UTIs. And this is going to help treat all of those problems, and it's a complement again to a good food. So we make sure that the customer is on the correct food, preferably something that's a little bit lower in phosphorus and calcium, and those two things can put stress on the kidneys, and they can also lead to crystal formation, especially if the acidity of the urine is off balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to gently balance the pH or the acidity of the urine, and it's a mild diuretic as well. So with any of those issues, we want to make sure that your cat or dog is urinating more frequently. So make sure that they're on a diet that's high in moisture, preferably low in phosphorus and calcium, and make sure that they're getting plenty of fresh drinking water as well. So this will help keep things flush. There's also an ingredient here, couch grass, that has antibiotic properties. So that's great if your pet suffers from UTIs. And again, this is good for both cats and dogs, and it's a really great complement to a diet that's already, sensitive to kidney and urinary health.
Issues. Yeah.
About this one, this is one I get a lot of questions about.
Well, it can be used in conjunction with, I'm sure, like a cranberry supplement, which would also help bladder and urinary tract health, but can just lend further support.
Exactly. And all 11 tinctures are a great complement to other natural remedies that you already carry in the store. So I like to think of them as just a different tool to help accomplish a similar goal using different ingredients.
Well, and you can use them interchangeably, like together, to complement one another, which once we get down to the calming line, I can talk a little bit more about my experience with that.
Yeah, we'll save that one for last.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do clean mouth, gums, or breath. So I like to joke that if you have any type of, dental treat in your store, this is a really great one to have, because this helps to not only treat bad breath and plaque, but to help heal the tissue that might be damaged around the gums as well. Typically, when I think of bad breath, I don't think of cats, but we have a really great testimonial on the back from a woman named Tess who says, "My cat was sick with calcivirus and I used this for the sores in his mouth. This helped tremendously. I almost spent tons of money at a vet who wanted to take his teeth out. Now his teeth are fine, and I highly recommend this product."
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. So totally great for cats as well as dogs. My favorite ingredient in this is chlorophyll, which is used in small doses. So any ingredient that you see in our tincture, you're literally going to be giving it to your pet in a small droplet form. And chlorophyll is a powerful internal deodorant. So there are other ingredients in here that reduce bacteria in the mouth and around the teeth that could cause bad breath. But sometimes when we have bad breath, it's because there's something inside of us that's causing that. So chlorophyll can.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Add this to your dental section and think of it like scope or Listerine. Extra.
It's so funny. The whole time you're talking about that, Meredith's giving me kisses, which Merida barely has any teeth left, but definitely could probably use that on a daily basis to both preserve the teeth that she has left.
The teeth that she has.
Yeah, exactly.
So next we've got cough, wheeze, and sneeze, and I can't imagine why, but this one has jumped up in popularity for us in the past 6 months. I don't know why.
People buying it and using it for themselves.
Coronavirus has people thinking about their health, especially related to coughing and wheezing. Cough, wheeze, and sneeze does a couple of things. It's going to calm the tickle in the throat that's caused from irritation from coughing and mucus, and it's also a mild expectorant, which means that it's going to loosen phlegm and mucus in the nose, throat, and lungs. That's great if your pet has, whether they have a virus or a bacterial cold, and something like kennel cough is a combination of the two. And we can't get rid of the virus per se, but we can treat the symptoms and we can help to calm the throat. This also has echinacea, which has antimicrobial, antibacterial, and antiviral properties, and you'll see echinacea in several of our tinctures. And the herbs that are in here are specifically designed to support respiratory health. One thing I also did not think about maybe a year ago when I would talk about this is that there are a lot of cats that suffer from
upper respiratory.
Yeah, and it could be from a variety of different reasons. It could be because it's the shape of their face, or maybe they have a dusty litter box. But
the other interesting thing that I've learned about cats is their immune system is so tied to their stress level. So
yes.
I've learned this through a rescue perspective that like when we move new cats in here, they can easily come down with upper respiratories because they're stressed in the movement.
Yes.
And this is a very interesting thing about cats, how their immune systems work.
And and remind me to talk about stress when I get to our calming tinctures as well, as it relates to flower essences. So don't let me forget to talk about that. But there's another really great testimonial on the back of this from a cat customer. And this customer's name is Deb. And she says, I was using another holistic treatment and my 14-year-old cat began to wheeze. I purchased cough, wheeze, and sneeze and initially used a slightly higher dose and his symptoms subsided within 2 to 3 days. I then plan to use the recommended dose as a preventative. So great for cats, but sometimes we forget about our kitties. At least I did when I would talk about this. I was like, great for kennel cough, great for dogs that are dealing with this, but great for kitties as well. And then just dosage wise, I get a lot of questions on how do you dose this, and can I use it year round, or should I only use it until the symptoms subside? And the answer is it depends on what you're treating it for. If you are treating your pet for worms, if you're trying to prevent worms, which you would do with our No More Worms tincture, you would probably want to stay on that year round. And I always recommend starting with the suggested dose. And if you're not seeing some improvements within the first week, then you can increase the dose to double. And you can do that safely as well. You just might want to look out for a slightly loose stool. And then after about, a couple of weeks to a month, if you feel like you can taper off because you're really seeing a lot of improvement in whatever it is that you're treating, it's totally fine to give these intermittently as needed. So yeah, start with the recommended dose, move to double if needed, and then taper off if you feel like the problem has been solved. So I mentioned no more worms, and I actually don't have my little tincture here, so maybe
covered.
Yeah, No More Worms is a powerful preventative for intestinal worms. And just because worms are so serious, we always recommend taking your pet to the vet first. So working with the vet and getting rid of the worms there, and then using No More Worms year round to prevent the intestinal worms from coming back. So you'll see ingredients like black walnut in there, which is a really powerful vermifuge. There's a couple of other ingredients that create a hostile environment in the intestine so that larvae and eggs should not survive. It's also got garlic in it, which is going to help get rid of any worms that might be hanging out in the intestine. So that'll help to flush them out. And it'll prevent worms from gripping on the tissue as well. So
this is an important thing to cover with this No More Worms. Someone has asked. Heartworm.
Yeah. Heartworm is we market this as an intestinal worm treatment. And I do get asked a lot of questions about heartworm. Here's what I would say. It's for intestinal worms and it's a prevention. Get your pet dewormed. And then if you put them on No More Worms, there's a very low chance of worms coming back, possibly heartworm as well. But because heartworm is so serious, we say go to your vet.
I will say that black walnut shells, black walnut is known to be toxic to heartworms and to heartworm larvae. So we'll just leave it at that.
I will leave it at that. Yeah. So work with your vet. But again, if you're putting your pet on this year round, the likelihood of any type of worm coming back is much lower. Great question. And I think we're moving on to our calming tinctures now.
Okay. So we have the calmness and
we've got calmness, and then the smaller bottle that you see next to Allison is emotional balance. Calmness is used sporadically as needed. So you would use this before you jump in the car. It actually helps with motion sickness as well, which is a new fact that I learned, and I didn't know that last time I saw you, but you'll see ginkgo and a couple of other ingredients that really help to calm the nervous system. And this is great for occasional bouts of stress, anxiety, maybe separation anxiety, or a trip to the vet, and for motion sickness. So I would give this 30 minutes to an hour before you jump in the car for whatever reason to really help ease any of those fears and anxieties. And this is given occasionally. And then you'll see emotional balance to the right, which is in a small bottle. Emotional balance is to be given every single day for at least a month or until the bottle is finished. And this is really for pets that have chronic anxiety and severe behavioral issues. Great to recommend for a customer with a rescue pet. Because if you're rescuing a pet, chances are you don't know their full story and you don't know their background and what they've gone through. But emotional balance has flower essences in it. And so it's in a slightly smaller bottle. Flower essences are a little bit different than the steeped herbs that you find across the 11 other tinctures. So herbs have been extracted using alcohol. Flower essences are basically taken the end of a flower and they've put it in water, and then they've preserved that water using alcohol. And the flowers are designed to help with emotional trauma and stress. I don't know if you have ever heard of Rescue Remedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is a blend of flower essences that you can pick up at Whole Foods, but this is very, very similar to that. And there are a lot of people who, swear by Rescue Remedy for themselves. And so I've personally had similar experiences using the emotional balance on my very, very stressed out cat. And Allison, I think that you've also tried.
I was going to say I think December, 2019 or late fall, you came and were talking to us about the tinctures, and you shared your story about your cat, and I was talking about Mole, who we have at home. And at that time, we'd had Mole maybe 6 months, just a little less than 6 months, and we were having some real problems. He had bitten my youngest son several times, so we had to keep him separated from my youngest son. And we had moments where he was just untouchable, really. We just really didn't know what to do with him. And I was just kind of at a loss. And you were like, well, here, try these. I've heard really great things, and here's my experience, and can't hurt but try, right? And so we started that probably about the middle of December. And we started that in combination with using some CBD as well. Mm-hmm. And I should say, we had been through some medication. We had been trying some different remedies medically as well, just trying to find the answers, and the medicine did not help. But we did a month or two, I should say, both the calmness and emotional balance along with the CBD. And right about the end of February, beginning of March, we were able to integrate my son back with Mole. And I really should do this. We were able to really do so much for Mole and do so much for him and our household. And I need to share this picture with you guys because this is just amazing. My son will probably kill me that he's going to be on Facebook today. But this is what's just totally amazing. So this is yesterday with my son. He was helping my son. Sorry, not that video. I don't know why it didn't pick it up.
But I hate it when I'm trying to share my screen over Zoom or something like this, and it's just
here we go.
What I want to share.
Let's see here.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, I hear, I've heard so many stories similar to yours about someone that had a dog or a cat, usually a dog, with severe behavioral issues for whatever reason, or they had changed their behavior towards a family member, and the customer had tried everything. And nothing had worked long term. And then I said, just try it. Try emotional balance. If it's not working for you after a month, you've tried it, you can always return it, and we'll make sure that everybody gets their money back. But yeah, it seems to work really, really well to heal emotional trauma.
Yeah.
And when we get sick, or when our pets get sick or hurt themselves or go through a traumatizing experience, there's a physical component to it, and there is also an emotional reaction. Like if I have the flu, my body's going to feel bad, and my brain and my heart is also going to feel bad. So somehow emotional balance addresses those things and really helps to calm how we respond to emotional trauma.
I guess I'm not going to be able to get this up, but it was amazing yesterday. Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. So here, we'll do this. I think I can do it this way. Hopefully. Maybe. No. I know, it's a friend. It's another dog. It's not going to let me share it. But I'll have to share it in the comments when we're done. But there's a video of him, of Mole, sitting in my son's lap and helping him with virtual school yesterday. And I look at that and think, just a year ago, we couldn't even have imagined that. And I really attribute a lot of it to the tinctures, as well as the CBD treats that we use. Those have made an amazing difference in his life and in our life, dealing with him. Honestly, it has made it just so much more dealable, and has given him the ability to live in our life. Because honestly, there was a point where we were rotating, my son and my dog. Yeah. My son was in his room, the dog could be out in the house, and when my son was out in the house, the dog had to be up in our front entryway, gated off so that he wouldn't hurt my son. So it's given us newfound respect for the tinctures and the balance they can provide to a rescue dog.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that it still seems to be helping Mole. And I mentioned earlier, I don't remember exactly what I mentioned, but all of the other tinctures contain some flower essences. So I usually don't talk about that until the end, until I mention what emotional balance is. But these are over-the-counter remedies that treat not just the body, but also the emotional component to, healing. So Dr. Bob would call that a truly holistic treatment. You're thinking about the emotional and the physical component. But again, the difference is the other tinctures are steeped herbs plus a few flower essences, and emotional balance is just flower essences.
Well, and I will say, and unfortunately, this is a product that's being discontinued or tabled at the moment until some better methods are applied for it. But I have had a tremendous success with a Zen pen from Earth Animal. One of my dachshunds, Tinkerbell, came to me because she's epileptic, and her seizures are not so frequent that they require medication most of the time. But when she has them, we need something that can address them. And so we've used the Zen pen, which, you just flip over the ear, put it in her ear flap, rub it against the skin in her ear flap. And the transdermal application for her, we've tried other different CBD products, and they just haven't touched what Zen Pen's been able to do.
Yeah, and hopefully in the future, if we're ever able to relaunch that with a better applicator, I'll definitely be one of the first people to find out about it, because I know that you had a lot of success with the pen.
Yes, and I have a few stashed away at home thanks to you. Because I did start using other CBD products when we were running out of it, and nothing seemed to end her seizures like Zen Pen did.
Yeah, the gel itself was a really, really powerful transdermal product.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed we're able to get that back.
It's amazing. I know. Tell them, please. We definitely love it.
Yeah.
Considered. So we hope to see it back in a different applicator. I know the application method had some jamming issues, and so we hope we can see it back, because it is a powerful product.
Yeah, I do too. We'll see what the future holds. So I think that is
One other thing we didn't talk about was Nature's Protection Drops.
Yes, Nature's Protection Drops is a it's part of our Nature's Protection flea and tick line. And this is a way to change the blood composition of your cat or dog so that their blood tastes bad and smells bad to biting insects. So this is a really powerful first step, or like a base layer to a natural flea and tick prevention plan. If you want to forego using chemicals, this is going to make your pet unappealing to the fleas and ticks. So if they do get bit, they're not a very tasty host. So fleas and ticks won't want to stay on them. But further than that, from far away, the fleas and ticks won't like the way that they smell. So I recommend using this year round. I think, Allison, you also carry some of our powders as well.
We do. We carry the powders, we carry the topical natural drops, and we carry the collars. So all of those, and I know you had addressed when we were talking about these, when we first brought them in, kind of thinking about addressing it internally as well as externally when you're dealing with things like fleas and mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Kind of coming at it from both sides helps keep the protection at a maximum level.
Exactly. And I compare it to, like, if you are standing outside on a hot summer day and you're next to me and you're not getting bit by mosquitoes at all, but I'm getting bit by tons of mosquitoes, it's because there's something about my blood, there's something about the way that I smell that the mosquitoes think is delicious. So what this does, and what the other internal powders do, is they make you smell not delicious. They make your pet smell unappealing. And it's a really great base layer to adding some of the cedarwood and peppermint collars and topicals and sprays, which you can do as flea season gets worse and worse. But if you have your pet on one of the internals year round, that's really going to help, prevent things from getting bad in the first place. And I have to say, I was a little bit skeptical about whether or not these worked. When I first started working for Earth Animal, I was living in California at the time, and in California, the flea and tick problem isn't quite the same as it is in the Southeast. And I grew up in the South, and so I was like, oh, fleas and ticks, those are almost year round for us. Like, we get a break for like a month in January, and then they start coming back.
Yeah.
And then I had multiple people from the Florida market tell me that they use one of the internal powders on their pet's food year round, and they never have a problem with fleas and ticks, and they don't need the collars. And I was like, wow, if someone from Florida says it works, then it's got to work for us in North Carolina and Georgia too.
Yeah, we have a lot of our staff members use it, and I've used it as well, the powders on my pet's food, and it is fabulous, and it definitely does work. And again, it's creating that not desirable host, and
Exactly.
sure, that they don't want to inhabit their body. Well, I've got a couple of questions. Curdy is on the questions today, I'll say. Can humans use these tinctures?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes, humans can use them. And I didn't mention this earlier, but all of our tinctures are, fit for human consumption, and they're hand bottled by our herbalist, and her name is Christy. And she does all of this off her property in Vermont. So these are all made in the mountains of Vermont, and then her and a team of 2 or 3 other women physically steep the herbs and extract them. They're hand extracted, and then all of the good juice is put in the bottles and sent to Earth Animal to send to our distributors. So it's a small batch operation. I had someone ask me about a year ago whether or not she could use allergy and skin for her eczema. And I was like, actually, I'm not sure. So let me ask Christy. And Christy said, yes, you totally can use them. You just have to double the dose because, you probably don't weigh 50 pounds. So double the dose of the large dog dose. And so I told her to do that. And when I came back a couple months later to the store, her skin looked amazing. And she told me that she's going to add this as a part of her eczema regimen because it did help her eczema. And she had to try different things throughout, different parts of the year to help combat that problem. But yeah, it had helped her. Usually the one that people want to try is calmness or emotional balance. Those are the ones that people are like, can I try that? I'm like, yeah, you absolutely can try it.
That's funny. Well, here's one more question from Curdy, another really good question. to cover, she's saying, can you use Nature's Protection with no more worms for preventative measures without medication and chemical?
Yes, definitely. And again, all of Earth Animals remedies or Nature's Protection internal items are safe to use together. So these are herbs. You don't have to worry about your pet having an overdose on herbs or anything like that. These are gentle, effective, natural remedies. And yeah, I mean, if you're using Nature's Protection alongside No More Worms, that's going to be a powerhouse for preventing. It's a vermifuge, basically. Both of those are vermifuge.
They are really cool products from a natural standpoint.
Yes.
So if you're very interested, especially with my little seizure girl, I try to avoid as many chemicals as possible because those can really trigger her seizures. So we really work hard to use as many natural products and as much natural defense as we can get.
Yeah, and I always like to say there's a time and place for chemicals if you need them.
Mm-hmm.
I've totally been there before, especially with flea and tick control. But more and more people and more vets are learning that if an animal is exposed to those chemicals in high doses over their entire life, by the time that they're a senior pet, they could have some adverse reactions to the chemicals. And so maybe in your case, you're seeing seizures. So Nature's Protection flea and tick line is a really great way to solve the problem without the chemicals. And the program works really well. You have to be willing to give it to them every day. So putting it on their food or mixing it in with peanut butter. But the payoff is you're able to do it naturally and it's effective.
I think I found a way to share my mole video. So we're going to try this. Here we go. Let's see if I can get this. I know it does something funny at first, but hopefully you can see this video. Talk to me. Can you see the video?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. This is Mole and Colby yesterday, sitting in the front window as Mole was helping him with schooling. And you have to imagine that a year and a half ago, this dog bit him 5 times.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? It is absolutely amazing to me. Oops, sorry that I left everybody with my repeater screen.
Amazing to see that.
Huh?
I'm so happy to see that. And I've been meaning to ask you if things were still going well with your son and Mole.
Yeah.
Do you continue to give emotional balance to Mole or have you tapered off?
Occasionally I will go through a couple of days worth. If I notice he's having kind of a harder time or being a little bit more angry, we will kind of kick it back into play. But for the most part, we don't really do that. At this point, we just do the CBD. Now, I will say if we do miss a few days of the CBD, he really does kind of return to the dragon state he was before. Not as bad, I guess, because he's not like he hasn't bitten since then, but he certainly needs that CBD support. And some of it, I think, does come from pain. We think there's maybe some kind of joint pain association or something like that makes him a little bit angrier. So I think that's what the CBD addresses for him. Mm-hmm. But this emotional balance and calmness combined with that really, I think, was what pushed us to the ability to kind of bring them back together and establish another relationship for them.
And that's exactly what I tell people. Like if you've finished a bottle of emotional balance or you've used it for a long period of time, you may not need to use it forever. For whatever reason, it seems to address how our animals, react to emotional stress. And it seems to kind of fix the issue. Can't exactly explain how it does it, but it does. And I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago who told me he's been using it for his rescue pet. And he's got a couple of roommates who the dog was always kind of aggressive is not the right word, but cold towards the roommate, would occasionally growl at them, didn't want the roommates to pet him. And he said now that the dog is on emotional balance, he responds to the roommates. He lets them pet and hold them. And he's never had his dog react that way to other people before that weren't him.
That's amazing. Well, of course, we love natural remedies here, and we always love a way to be able to tackle a problem in a natural method if we can. before having to get to Western medication and pharmaceuticals. It's always safer to start out with a natural. But the other option is if you have to go to Western medicine and need something to address immediate, this would be a way that you could then taper off that medicine and start with a natural product that could help give you more longevity to address those needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I really, truly appreciate you joining us. I've loved hearing Andy in the background a little bit.
I know. I was like, is anyone going to notice that my toddler is running in here? I appreciate you having me. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk about natural remedies and hear how Mole's doing and how your sons are doing. And I will come back anytime. So
well, we wish you luck on your soon-to-be new baby.
Yes.
And look and look forward to your new baby joining your family. And we really appreciate you being here and going over these. They definitely are an educational piece that need explaining before people understand what the uses are and how well they work. So I appreciate you being here to do that with us. And we hope you have a wonderful weekend. The sun is supposed to come out here later today, and I can say how excited I am. Can't wait to see it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Allison. I'll talk to you soon. And if there are any additional questions that people have for you, you can forward them to me.
I will do it. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Bye.